Urgent. Ukrainian armed forces breakthrough in Kursk region. Russians strike strongly at Sudzha flank. Hello dear friends, you are on the Ruslan Belov channel. We continue to analyze daily events on the front lines with you. Before we begin, I kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel and like the video so that more people can learn the truth. Now let's move on to the urgent and shocking news from the Kursk region. Today marks 6 months since Ukrainian forces invaded the Kursk region, and it seems they decided to mark this date with a new offensive. This offensive involves significant forces, as just a few minutes before I started recording this update, information came in that the attacking forces consist of up to 350 Ukrainian soldiers and, attention, 50 units of military equipment. As you can see, these are not small numbers. Let's not delay and move straight to the map to break it down. So, what is currently happening in the Kursk region? First, about a week ago, or maybe a bit longer, the Ukrainian armed forces pushed Russian troops out of Makhnovka. Let me remind you that by January 7th, most of Makhnovka was under Russian control, with only the northern outskirts remaining under Ukrainian control. However, the Ukrainian forces counterattacked from the direction of Sudzha, eventually pushing Russian troops out of the village. Since then, the status quo has been maintained for over a week. Russian forces attempted to regain lost positions in Makhnovka, but without success. Similarly, Ukrainian forces tried to advance toward Cherkasskaya Konopelka, but also failed. However, today everything changed. The Ukrainian armed forces launched a powerful offensive with up to 3 battalions. It's important to understand that 3 battalions on one sector is a significant force. Now let's get into specifics. From this sector, 11 units of equipment moved toward the village of Ulanok. Here's where the village is located between these positions. Let's even measure the distance. As you can see, it's over 6 kilometers. Interestingly, the Ukrainian forces did not stop or enter Cherkasskaya Konopelka. They bypassed the village and reached Ulanok, where aviation and artillery began working only as they approached the village. Why so late? The answer is simple: dense fog in the area today, rendering drones ineffective. If we recall the Ukrainian offensive on Bolshoye Soldatskoye in early January, why did it fail? Because they advanced in clear weather, and their main forces were destroyed in the fields before they could even reach their objectives. The situation now is different. Thick fog has delayed detection. Some Ukrainian equipment was destroyed on the approach, specifically 2 tanks and 1 armored vehicle. However, out of the 11 units that advanced, 3 were destroyed, meaning 8 units reached Ulanok and its surroundings. There are photos showing infantry dismounting and entrenching. Ukrainian forces managed to secure positions in the northern part of the village. Fierce battles are now ongoing there. By the time you watch this video, the situation may have changed for better or worse. It's also important to note that the Ukrainian offensive is not limited to Ulanok, but also targets Fanasivka and Ruskaya Konopelka. This poses an equally significant problem. As I mentioned, Ukrainian forces are advancing not only toward Ulanok, but also toward Fanasivka. Let's first summarize what we know. The Ukrainian breakthrough has extended over 6 kilometers, which is significant. At the time of recording, Ukrainian forces have deployed infantry near the village, secured positions on the northern outskirts, and heavy fighting is ongoing. Additionally, there are reports of Ukrainian attempts to bypass Cherkasskaya Konopelka from the west, moving toward Fanasivka. The goal here is clear: to encircle Cherkasskaya Konopelka from 2 sides and either surround or push out the garrison stationed there. There is no confirmed data yet on whether Ukrainian forces have entered Fanasivka. What is confirmed is that Ukrainian forces also advanced from Dmitrikovo, a hamlet located here. They moved toward Ruskaya Konopelka, but their mine-clearing vehicle was destroyed on the approach. However, 2 armored vehicles broke through to the southwestern outskirts of Ruskaya Konopelka. One was destroyed, and the other retreated. Further details are unknown at this time. Now let's discuss the risks this offensive carries. The issue is not just about these villages, Ruskaya Konopelka, Fanasivka, or Ulanok. Losing these villages would be a significant problem, but I see an even greater threat. The Ukrainian forces are attempting to take control of Ulanok and Fanasivka, as well as Cherkasskaya Konopelka, with one goal: to reach Plekovo. Currently, their main objective is Plekovo. If the breakthrough is not contained and Ukrainian forces reach Plekovo, the entire Russian grouping west of this point, specifically the units near Kurilovka, risks being encircled. On the other hand, Ukrainian forces also risk being encircled. Since they bypassed Cherkasskaya Konopelka, the Ukrainian units near Ulanok could also find themselves surrounded. In summary, here's what we know for sure. A 6-kilometer Ukrainian breakthrough, their entry into the Ulanok area, securing positions in the northern part, and deploying infantry near the village. The situation is developing dynamically. We continue to monitor. Kharkov direction. On the southern flank, map adjustments favor Ukrainian forces. A Ukrainian assault group, supported by armored vehicles from the Ulakli area, attacked Russian positions on the left bank of the Sudzha Yar River near the village of Zelenovka, gaining control of part of the forest belt west of the Sudzha Balka. On the eastern flank, after intense fighting, Russian forces took control of the village of Daknaya. This is confirmed by footage released by the Russian side, showing the Russian flag being raised by soldiers of the 68th Tank Regiment on the local school building in the northwestern part of the village. On the northern flank, Russian forces continue assault operations in the village of Andreevka. The Ukrainian resource Deep State confirms the advance of Russian units from the northern outskirts along the T-0515 highway toward the center of the village. Thus, it can be stated that the entire eastern part of Andreevka is under Russian control. Pokrovsk direction. Ukrainian forces from the Volkhova area attacked Russian positions on the eastern outskirts of the village of Pashanka. Footage released by the Russian side confirms the destruction of Ukrainian equipment attempting to break through to the center of the village. Ukrainian forces have taken control of the approaches to the eastern outskirts of Pashanka, while part of the industrial zone and single-story residential buildings in the village have become a grey zone. Clashes continue. Chasiv Yar direction. Russian forces have achieved significant success in the area of multi-story buildings west of the refractory plant. According to pro-Ukrainian sources, Ukrainian forces have lost control of one and partially of a second block near the Avangard Stadium, though this is unconfirmed on the ground. Active clashes continue on the approaches to the eastern outskirts of the Shevchenko neighborhood near Workshop No. 1 and its surroundings. Kupiansk direction. Russian forces continue to expand their control zone around the bridgehead on the western bank of the Oskol River. Assault groups advanced approximately 3 kilometers northwest of the village of Novomlinsk and took control of the neighboring village of Figorovka. This is confirmed by footage released by the Ukrainian side, showing attacks on Russian forward positions using FPV drones. The Ukrainian resource Deep State confirms the formation of another Russian bridgehead beyond the Oskol River near the village of Topolia. Russian units have secured advantageous positions on dominant heights west of the village near the Chalk Mountain, South Donetsk, Toretsk, Siversk, and Kharkiv directions. No significant changes. Additional updates from the Kursk region. Today at around 6 a.m. Moscow time, Ukrainian forces, using up to 50 units of armored vehicles and about 400 personnel, attempted a counterattack from the villages of Kalmakov, Dmitriykov, and Makhnovka toward Russian positions in the villages of Cherkasskaya, Konopelka, Fanasivka, and Ulanok. Russian forces, supported by aviation, artillery, and FPV drones, destroyed over 25 units of enemy equipment, including 6 tanks. Preliminary estimates indicate Ukrainian losses of over 100 killed. The main objective of the attack was to capture Ulanok and regain control of the territory east of Sudzha to push back Russian units controlling the main supply route for Ukrainian forces in the Kursk region. At the moment, the Ukrainian attacks have been repelled and the villages remain under Russian control. Fighting continues in the surrounding areas, with clearing operations underway. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, leave your likes, and all the best to you.